Hello, so creative, it's Faustina here. Welcome to another interesting tutorial. On today's tutorial, we're going to learn how to cut and sew this handkerchief skate that you are seeing on the screen, and we made use of just 2 yards of crepe. So with 2 yards of crepe, you are going to achieve this beautiful look that you are seeing on the screen. It has been trending for weeks, years and months. Don't mind me, it has been trending for months. You see how beautiful it's looking on me? Yeah, so I've been busy lately, and today I decided to sew my own. I hope I'm not late on the trend, but if you like to watch how I cut and put this skate together using just 2 yards of crepe, keep watching. Grab your popcorn and sit and keep watching, and let's dive into the cutting table, and you will see where all the magic and management of fabric lies. Like I said earlier, we are working with just 2 yards of crepe fabric with elastic bind of 1.5 inches by width, and we are going to go ahead and fold our crepe into 2 firstly, and after folding into 2, we are also going to go ahead and fold again, making it 4 folding. So you're basically going to fold it into 4, like you want to cut your 360-degree fillet. You're going to fold it into 4. Like I said earlier, you fold the 2 parts and you fold again, making it 4. So after getting the 4 folded, we are going to start working on the radius of our handkerchief skate. The measurement you use to get the radius of a 360-degree fillet is 6.28. Your waist is meant to be divided by 6.28, but in this case we are working with elastic, so we have to add extra excess allowance on that waistline. So instead of us to use our waist exactly, we are making use of our hip. Our hip divided by 6.28 gave us what we mark as the radius of our handkerchief skate, and I went ahead to mark the value I got into several places. You can see how I'm placing my tape, so you are going to take it all around that fillet part so that you get a circle effect. That is the radius of your handkerchief skate. So watch me closely and see how I'm marking the radius of our handkerchief skate. So after marking the radius, the next thing we are going to mark is the length of our skate. The length of my skate is 24, and I'm adding 2 inches band on it. So I went ahead to minus 2 inches band from that 24, and I was left with 22. So from the radius of our circle, I'm going to mark out 22, and after marking out the 22, I'm going to bring in my pattern curve or your ruler, and you straighten it up to meet the end of the fillet that we folded. And on this other end also, I'm going to mark 22 also, and I'm going to also rule it out to meet the other end, like you are going to cut it in form of a block. You see what I did is you are cutting it in form of a block, and after ruling it out to get that block form, we are going to go ahead and start cutting it. It's so simple. Just go ahead from one end, mark out the length of your skate, and you straighten it up, and from this other end you also get the length of your skate, you straighten it up to meet that first line, and you have getting your block form. And that is the handkerchief that we have been talking about all this while. It's so easy to cut. You can see, so easy, like peasy. So after getting this block effect, you are going to go ahead and cut the radius of your skate, and that is it. Also make sure that you notch the middle part and the two side of our skate. So you can see me notching mine so that we don't misplace it. So when you open it up, this is what you are going to see. You see the 2 side is notched, and the center is also notched as well, and this is our handkerchief. You can see from the video our handkerchief has been formed already. So the second thing we are going to work on is that exaggerated fillet that is on top of it. We are just going to cut it straight. We are meant to cut it straight. So on fold, I cut at 30 inches length on fold, which is, if I open it up, it will be 60 in total. I went ahead to notch the center as well, because you need to indicate the center, and the width is 8 inches length. So I'm going to cut it into 2 places, First is going to be for the front, while the second is going to be for the back. So I'm marking out the 8 inches into several places in order to get a straight line from the starting of our pieces of fabric. So we are going to go ahead and cut it out. We are going to get 2 pieces of it, like I said earlier, one for the front and one for the back, and that 2 pieces is what I'm just cutting out. I also notched the center, like I said earlier, indicate the center so that we don't misplace it. So I'm going to bring in our handkerchief skate and I'm going to turn it to the right side. Once I turn it to the right side, you can see that the tutu side, I notch it. I also notch the middle part. So the middle part we notch for this exaggerated flare we are adding on it. I'm going to start from the middle part. I'm going to start pinning it from the middle part. You can see what I'm doing there. Yeah. So for the side, from the notch I had, I'm going to come out by half an inch on both sides. So that half an inch is where my pinning will stop. I'm going to pin the exaggerated extra flare we have on top of our waist until I reach to that half inches that I came out from. I will stop there and the exaggerated sleeve will be there. You can see the excess is there. So the excess length depends on how long you want yours to be. Yours can be more than 30, yours can be 35, 40, depending on the quantity of your fabric. If you have enough fabric to work with, it can also be less by 25 or so. So when I reach to that half inches, I will stop. I will also pin the second one also from the middle. I start pinning until I get to that half inch. I stopped. So when you get to that half inch, this is how you now close the tutu side of the exaggerated flare. You can see I flip this one to meet the right side of this other one. So watch me closely and see what I did there. So I start pinning again. So I'm basically going to move over to my sewing machine and go and run half-inch stitch on that part that I just pinned right now. I also do the same thing to this other side. I pin it down, and after pinning it down, I will move over to my sewing machine and go and run a stitch on it. So I've gone ahead to run a stitch on it, and this is the outcome. This is how it's gonna look after running a stitch on it. And I also went ahead to run a stitch on the waist area in order to put the two fabric together, and this is it. So the next thing we are going to work now is on our waistband. So I'm basically going to measure around my waist and see the measurement I have around my waist. So when I measured it round, I had 42 measurements. That 42, I'm going to keep it aside and we are going to start working on the bind. Because we are managing fabric, I forgot to leave the one we are going to use as our bind. So I had to shorten the length of the exaggerated extra flare we added on the handkerchief. Remember, we cut at 30 before, so I had to minus 5 inches from it and we were left with 25. So I went ahead to mark out 5 inches into several places and I went ahead to cut it out. I also do the same thing to the other side of the exaggerated flare part. I also shorten it up by half an inch. So in order to avoid this type of situation when you are working with yours, if you are working with 2 yards of crepe, just go ahead and cut out 25 instead of 30 and leave the remaining 5 for your waist bind. So I went ahead to join this together and also complete the length as well. And when I measured it, we have 43, and that 43 we are going to now place it together and join it in order to close our waistband. For the elastic, this is how you get your perfect elastic that will fit your waist very well. Minus 5 inches from your waist. So my waist is 30. I went ahead to minus 5 inches from 30 and I was left with 25. So I went ahead to cut out 25 inches for my elastic, and I also went ahead to close it. So this is how you sew your elastic. The first sewing you sew is to close the down part of it, and the second one is to sew on top of your elastic. And see how I'm stretching it. Yes, stretch yours very well. I went ahead to run 2 stitches on the elastic, you can see from the picture, and I'm going to also use it to now sew around my waist of the skirt part. And after sewing it, this is the outcome. You see how pretty this our handkerchief is looking. Yeah, this is the outcome of our waist and handkerchief, and this is the end of this tutorial. We have come to the end of it. The next thing now is to give it to sagers to sage it with their saging machine. And if you have watched to this level, thanks for watching. If today is your first time of coming across our channel, please don't forget to subscribe and also drop a comment for us.